Grade 5, MX18, Lesson 1.12 from the Adding and Subtracting with Fractions unit. Hello students and families. This video resource can be viewed as a reminder of learning that happened in the classroom, a review of learning that was missed during an absence, a preview of new learning. Remember, this video cannot replace the math conversations and group learning that takes place in the classroom. If you have questions or would like additional practice, please speak to your teacher. Our learning target for this lesson: I can estimate and solve addition and subtraction problems with mixed numbers. Here are some of the Tier 3 vocabulary words that will be used in this lesson. Keep in mind that these are not the entire list of vocabulary words for this lesson. This lesson introduces problems that have more than one step to solve. For many of the problems, an equation with a variable can be written. Writing problems in equation form adds another strategy to your math toolbox and gets you comfortable working with algebra. In the example above, there is missing information that we are trying to solve. After guests drank 4.5 gallons of tea, there were 2 5/8 gallons left. How much tea was there to start? Let's start with what we already know. We know that 4.5 gallons of tea are gone. We also know that 2 5/8 gallons are remaining. What we don't know is how much tea we started with. Using our cute images, we can count and estimate that we started with about 7 gallons. Now we can use an equation with a variable. Let's use t. From that variable, we subtracted 4 1/2. There is 2 5/8 remaining. Now we have an equation that we can solve. What is the easiest way to solve for the unknown t? Add our two mixed numbers together. Let's make sure we start with common denominators. Let's make sure we simplify our answer. Now we know how many gallons of tea we started with. The answer makes sense because if we round it down to 7 gallons, then 7 minus 4 1/2 will leave about 2 1/2. Let's talk about common mistakes. Whenever we work with variables and equations, it is easy to put the variable in the wrong place. Ariel ran 6 1/4 miles on Saturday. This is 1 3/4 miles more than Harry ran. How far did Harry run? In this example, we use the letter M as a variable for miles. However, subtracting 1 3/4 from a variable will not get us the correct answer. Even though the math is correct, the answer does not make sense in relation to the question because Harry ran less miles than Ariel, not more. Another very common mistake that students make when writing equations is using letters that look too similar to numbers. When the letters and numbers are together, it becomes difficult to tell which is which. Avoid using O because it looks like 0. The letter L can be confused with a 1. Even the letter Y can be mistaken for a 4 if written too quickly. Remember to use variables that do not look like numbers. Here is the first problem from your homework. One strategy is to estimate first. Zoe had a board 5 1/4 feet long. She cut off a piece. Now the board is 3 5/6 feet long. How long was the piece she cut off? The mixed number 5 1/4 can be rounded down to 5. The mixed number 3 5/6 can be rounded up to 4. If it helps, you can also visualize what the question is asking. We start with a long board, cut some of it off. Now we have a shorter board. Again, the question asks, how much did she cut off? Let's write an equation to represent what we know. We start with 5 1/4. We cut off an unknown amount. We are left with 3 5/6. First step to solve, look at the denominators. It would help us solve if they had a common denominator. At this point, we should be comfortable finding equivalent fractions. Do not let the fractions intimidate you. Say, I got this. This is a simple subtraction problem. If we take the fractions away, the steps to solve are easy to see. 5 minus 3 would give us the answer. We can do the exact same with fractions. First, we regroup, then add one whole. With our new mixed number, we get the answer 1 5/12. Here is a reminder of the learning target for today. As always, if you have additional questions or if you would like more practice, please talk to your teacher when you return to the classroom. As we continue to build this resource for students and families, any feedback that you have would be appreciated. Feel free to email with any suggestions that you may have.